This is the Retirement Bullpen with Richard Warner. The team at Warner Financial Solutions want to help you feel confident about your retirement, no matter where you stand. Get more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Now, the Retirement Bullpen.
Welcome back to the Retirement Bullpen, where we challenge conventional wisdom and dig deeper into what retirement planning really looks like in today's economy. Our host, Richard Warner, is unpacking some of the most common retirement rules today. You've probably heard them, and he's answering a very important question. Do these rules still hold up? Richard is an investment advisor representative, certified retirement income professional, and owner of Warner Financial Solutions based in Omaha, Nebraska. You can learn more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. Richard, how are you?
I am doing really well. How are you doing, Alyssa?
I am doing very well myself. Thank you. Today, we're talking about outdated retirement strategies. And you know me, I like to find these random ways to connect financial stories to real world things. And so I was looking at one of those Instagram online shows that showed all the household stuff that you should be replacing on a regular basis. This may be a test. Your wife might know the answer to this. How often are you replacing the kitchen sponge? It should happen every week. Your toothbrush every 6 months, the pillow every year. This one I didn't know, the frying pan every 3 years. I have to say I did not know that you're supposed to actively replace the frying pan. And I need to know if it applies to cast iron, because that's what I use. So I've got to go searching. But anyway, it got me thinking about some of those old retirement rules that we hear all of the time. And I wondered if any of those needed to be tossed out right along with the kitchen sponge. So I thought we could dive into them and you can let me know your thoughts. The number one rule that we hear is that 4% rule, withdrawing 4% of your savings as sort of your baseline. What are your thoughts?
So first off, give a quick explanation of the 4% rule. The 4% rule simply says that you can take 4% of your savings out annually, adjusted for inflation, and your funds should last, based on lots of historical scenarios, about 30 years. Now, there's obviously a lot of variables. Mm-hmm. There's time frames where those didn't work out. There's time frames where those did. Probably the worst decade for that rule was between 2000 and 2010. We also may be experiencing another one right now with all the market volatility. So is it a good rule? Honestly, I don't like it because I think you can do better. I think you can take more than 4% out of your accounts if you strategically plan from the standpoint of how are you invested? Where are you invested? What kind of management is going on with your investments behind the scenes to limit volatility? Because a lot of people hear 4% and they think, well, why can I only take 4% if I'm getting an average of 6% or 8%? They have a hard time comprehending why that would be. And the reason is the 6 or 8% average doesn't happen every year.
Right.
Okay. Some years that 6% is 12. Some years it's negative 20. So in the years when it's negative 20 or negative 5 or negative 10 or 1, you're taking away more principal than you would be in the year that it's 6, 10, 12, 15. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you take that principal away, sometimes you can erode so much income or growth potential off of it that you begin digging away at the longevity of that account quicker than you realize. The 4% rule is kind of a good starting point. I think it helps me explain to somebody, this is kind of a rough number, but I rarely stick to that because I think if planned right, it can be a lot better number than that.
So it's a good basis, but certainly needs to be more personalized for an individual situation. So don't just accept that sort of as a blanketed rule. Ask questions. Why, if somebody's advising you that, why are you giving me that rule? Is it just because it's a rule you heard, or is it really most beneficial for my individual situation?
Right, exactly. There's just so many variables that go behind it that it's not definitely a way to create every financial plan.
The next one that we hear on the list is having that specific dollar amount to retire. And I have to say this one, I still have years to go before I get to retirement age, but this one is the one that's most daunting to me. And that's that magic number that you're supposed to have. I think now they say $1.6 million in savings in order to retire. And some people don't even make that in a lifetime. So how do you feel about that one?
This is the most ridiculous rule of them all, in my opinion.
Well, that makes me feel better.
And it should. I run into so many people, and I know we did a podcast here recently on fear. I run into so many people that their a lot of their fear is driven because they hear stuff like that and they're like, I'm not even close to that. How am I going to retire? Retirement has little to do with the number you have saved, more to do with what are your income sources when you do retire, and do those income sources meet the monthly expenditures, and will they, projected with inflation increases and those types of things, throughout the rest of your life, or what we project the rest of your life to be. So is it nice to have 1.6 million? Oh yeah, very nice. It's helpful, but is it necessary? I meet people all the time that can retire on $300,000 and they don't ever touch the money. They don't need any of it.
Wow.
But they have it because they have really done a good job of taking care and paying for things and not having a lot of expenses as they're going into retirement. They don't have debt, or helps a lot because they don't have as much outgo. So there's a lot of factors involved in that magic number, but I absolutely hate that number. So
Okay. Well, phew. I think I sleep a little bit better at night.
Good.
Number 3 on the list was the 100 minus age rule, which is, the advice of subtracting your age from 100, and that should determine the percentage of stocks in your portfolio.
Well, I'll use myself as an example. I turned 50 this year. And if you minus 50 from 100, that means 50% of my funds should be in stocks and 50% of my funds should be in bonds, treasuries, cash alternatives, those types of things. Couldn't be anywhere further from the truth. I'm probably, in my retirement assets, I'm 100% in stocks. It has little to do with your age and more to do with what kind of returns you want to get. What kind of volatility can you stomach? I'm at a point in life where I'm not concerned if my investments drop. I will add more when they drop because it's a great time to buy.
Right.
Now, there is some truth to the concept as you get closer to 60, 65, 70, and now you're dependent upon that. But I don't think minus age, taking minus to 100 is a trick for you, because when you get to 70, that means 70% of your funds are in bonds and treasuries. Well, if we'd have done that from 2001 to 2021, when interest rates were rock bottom for that period of time, for the most part, you have no returns off your money off that 70%. And so now you're not keeping up with the inflation we have had over the last several years.
Right.
So it really boils down to risk, boils down to your personal situation, your personal ability to not be concerned with volatility. And then there's ways to manage volatility and still take some calculated risk, but still managing volatility. So those are all things that need to be factored into that rule, in my opinion.
Okay. So again, not a one size fits all, personal to your situation. Number 4 on the list was, I need to be out of debt when I retire. Yes or no?
I personally would want to be, and I think most people want to be, but I've also seen an extreme mistake in this scenario as well. I've known people that they've taken large amounts of funds out of non-taxed retirement accounts to get out of debt as they go into retirement, because they're so focused on getting out of debt. What I mean by that is pulling 6-figure sums out of a 401k, for example, to pay off a mortgage. Well, there's a couple of factors there. First off, a lot of times they consider the tax hit of taking the big sum out of the 401k. It's never been taxed. They're going to have to withhold X amount percentage, but they don't consider what their tax rate of their Social Security would have been that year. Their Social Security may have been tax-free, depending upon how much income their situation, or maybe only half of it was taxed. Right. And now there's a scenario where most of it, 85% of it's being taxed. There's also potential effects on their Medicare premiums if they would hit take a large enough portion out that could double or triple or quadruple their Medicare premiums. And they're doing all of this. They're paying all these extra fees and expenses and taxes back to the government when they're probably on the back end of a mortgage. And if you understand how a mortgage works, mortgages tend to be front end loaded, meaning most of the interest is paid off in the first half. And so the savings they're getting is they're not really even saving much. They're just getting rid of payments. Right. Which, had they structurally set that up to pay that off maybe quicker, wouldn't be a bad thing just to get rid of it. Sure. But done it in a more tax efficient way. Now, the other side of that is some people go into retirement with 3 car payments, a mortgage that they just took out, their credit cards are maxed out. That's also not a great idea.
Sure.
I prefer debt-free in retirement personally, but I don't think having a mortgage is a deal breaker for you. And I also don't think having a car payment is necessarily a deal breaker either. It depends upon your overall situation. And sometimes it makes sense to pay those off. If you have a bunch of money just sitting in a checking account, it can make sense to pay those things out before going to retirement. So again, it's not a one size fit all. It depends upon the situation. But there are things that shouldn't. I mean, like tons of credit card debt, tons of car payments, all that. If you have tons of that, you probably need to work and get that taken care of before you retire.
So it's sort of the good debt versus bad debt is a good maybe look at that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking about when you're talking about the mortgages, some of these retirees may have mortgages that they got back when interest rates were in that sweet spot of 2.3%. And now that, $100,000 that you're going to take out of your 401k, that could be earning you 5 or 6%. And that 2%, that's really not too terrible. You're not losing money.
No, exactly. That's not even considering the potential return off the money. So yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. Last on the list, number 5 was the rule of I can't retire until I'm 65 because I need Medicare.
There's a lot of people that wait till Medicare to retire because of the health insurance. Again, it's not a cookie cutter rule either. It depends upon the situation. There have been people that I have met that I have advised you probably should wait 2 more years or whatever it is to hit Medicare just because of the cost of healthcare. And sometimes it's waiting 2 more years, even if they're 65, because their spouse is maybe 63 because of the cost of healthcare and what it will do to their situation. So it's very situational in that. But I run into people all the time that aren't retiring, have plenty of funds to retire because they want to keep their group plan until Medicare. And that's their only reasoning. And again, if they like what they do, it's not wrong, but I see people doing it all the time that they don't like what they do. They have plenty of money to retire, and I hate to say self-insure because it's not a safe thing to do, but almost, in some cases, almost self-insure, but definitely go out and get a health plan, even as expensive as they can be, to go out and get a health plan for a couple of years or 5 years or whatever it might be, and make it to Medicare and begin enjoying what they've been trying to do their whole life. So not a great rule to say, I'm going to wait till 65 because of Medicare, or I'm going to wait till 67 because of my full retirement age with Social Security, whatever it might be. I hear both of those. They're kind of the same excuse.
Sure.
It can be true. It can be true. But again, it depends specifically on that situation.
Well, there we have it. We've gone through the 5 biggest, most common rules that we hear. And just like the kitchen sponge, some of them deserve to be tossed out. But most of them, as we have learned, are more personalized to what your situation is and what will work best for you where you're at. So whether it's the 4% rule to the idea of waiting till 65 to retire, it's clear that financial planning needs to evolve with the times, more importantly with your life. But I think equally important is to have someone on your team to help you weigh out the pros and cons on each of those. So if someone's listening, Richard, how can they find you if they're like, I need to sit down, it's time for me to talk to somebody?
So a phone call works. Find us on our website, Facebook page. But it's very, very important because a lot of these misconceptions come from, in my opinion, not sitting down with some competent person because you've heard this or heard that or somebody's told you that, and so you've just believed it. And not that in all scenarios those things are false, but you really want to sit down and you really want to look at your situation specifically. Yeah, 4% rule might be a good fit in your situation, but more times than not, it's probably not a good fit. So we want to sit down and have that conversation. Feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. You can message us through our website, through Facebook, lots of ways. We would love to, even if it's just a phone conversation for 15 minutes, just to get an idea of what your questions and concerns are about making that transition into retirement.
So there you have it. Richard is available. You can learn more at warnerfinancialsolutions.com. You can schedule that complimentary consultation, or as he mentioned, pick up the phone, give him a call at 402-274-9185. And of course, while you're on the website, be sure to sign up for the newsletter. You can also find additional podcast episodes. We talk about all sorts of things, fear in retirement and other things that are pertinent to what retirees are facing in today's economy. So Richard, it's always a pleasure to sit and chat with you. I am so grateful for your time. And we're in the holiday season, so I hope you're enjoying your time with your family and have a wonderful holiday.
Same to you.
Insurance products are offered to the insurance business Warner Financial. Warner Financial is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Warner Financial are not subject to investment advisor requirements. NPN number 7617022. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Warner Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Warner Financial. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. IPW provides services without regard to political affiliation, and the views of the individual advisors are not necessarily the views of IPW.